Welcome back to Low Country Spotlight. Of course, I'm your host, Margie Pizarro. Before I begin my next segment, I want to read something to you all, so I want you to listen to this. Reflections of a Lifetime is a sermon in poetry. I want readers to be encouraged about life and their goals and dreams. Knowing that all things are possible if you believe and never give up, I hope that many will be inspired to dream again. No matter what trials and tests life brings, you can make it if you don't faint. Challenges in life are stepping stones to greatness. Enjoy this journey called life. And those words were written by my next guest, who is Yvonne Rivers. Yvonne Rivers is a poet. I guess her day job is she works at Berkeley Electric Co-op, where she's been employed there for 25 years. But her side gig, if you will, which to me seems like the most important thing that she can offer, is as a poet. So, Ms. Rivers, I want to welcome you to Low Country Spotlight.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you could take the time to join us today. Now, you wrote this book, Reflections of a Lifetime. When did you actually write it?
It was published in 2013.
Okay, so that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we just read the portion from the back cover, and those words are just so moving from the standpoint of, even if you just take one part that talks about challenges in life and overcoming them if you don't faint. Tell us about how you've seen that in your life, how you've seen that in action. Tell us what even inspired you to pen those particular words.
Well, I've been writing poetry about 30 years, and I never took it serious as doing a book.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, I read some of the poetry to him, and he said, wow, that is good.
Yeah.
And you know, you just think people are just saying that just so, and so I pursued it. So I just want other people to pursue their dreams.
Right.
Sometimes we just have it laying dormant and don't do anything with it. And then you have a lot of regrets.
Right, right.
So I just want to encourage other people that they can do it. And that's how it started.
And you know, I think sometimes, like I said, and I was making a joke about it, you know, you work, you know, your structured profession is at Berkeley Electric Co-op, where you've been so for a number of years. But it seems like the poetry part, though, that's your passion, though. That's your baby. That's the thing that really inspires you. Talk to us a little bit about that.
It is. It's inspiring. I first started out when I was working at Charleston County. And instead of buying a card to give to someone, I would make one up.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and that's how the poetry started.
Wow.
So for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, anything, I would do cards and just put my little personal spin on it. And people just loved it.
Yes, I'm so amazed by that, because I mean, the level of creativity that goes into that, and on top of that, now my husband is a card guy. I mean, he can go to Walmart or Hallmark and he can pick out a card that just articulates everything he wants to say. But you actually have that gift inside of you, obviously, to be able to pull the words to give to that person at that particular point in time.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of how it started.
That's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Until you've gotten to this point. How and what is your inspiration, or what is it in your life that has caused you to be able to be, I think, so in tune with the world, with others, with the way people may receive certain messages, that allows your book to be such an inspiration?
It's just certain things will move me. A sermon I might hear, a word, or a song I might hear something, and I'll write it down.
Yeah.
And I keep a pad by my bedside.
Okay.
So if something comes, I have to start writing right then,
Wow.
so I won't forget.
Yeah.
And it's just sermons and just sayings or just something, and I'm like, wow, that would make a good poem.
Wow.
And I'll just write the title, and then the words just come.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the process. You know, you hear a thought, you write the title, and then do you meditate on it, or is it just something else that happens in the course of the day?
It just comes. I'll write the title and I'll think, and I might get the first sentence, and then I'll think on it, and then the words just come.
Yeah.
And I'll just write.
Yeah.
I'll just write it.
Now, did you enjoy writing, like when you were younger, when you were in school or anything like that?
No.
You probably couldn't stand it, right?
No. And actually, the funny thing about it, in English class, my teacher would call on me to read, and I would get so nervous, break out in a cold sweat,
No.
and stutter.
No.
And she'll say, "That's all right, I'll get somebody else."
Oh no.
Yes, and I could read, but
Yeah.
I would just get so nervous.
But you had
Yeah.
so much in you. Why would you be so nervous about trying to get it out? Because this, I'm sure this doesn't just start when you know, reach a certain age or you reach adulthood. Obviously, because I mean, I believe that, you know, everybody was created with a purpose, and the thing that is in us to do is God given. I'm not going to preach, but you know, so if this is coming out of you at this age, it's always been in you. So why do you think you would be so nervous about that, having that opportunity to speak?
Just afraid to read in public.
Yeah.
That was just a fear.
Yeah.
And when I started writing more poetry, and I would read it to people in the office.
Yeah.
Of course, I could do that because I knew them
Yeah.
and was comfortable with
Yeah.
them. And so it just progressed
Yeah.
over the years.
Now, what about, do you want to read it in public now, or have you overcome that fear, or,
No,
you know?
I can do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like, well, do you ever go to like the poetry nights or anything like that? Have you ever done anything like that?
No, I haven't. I've done my poetry at different functions.
Okay.
And of course, I've read some at church. But I hadn't went to poetry night or something like
Oh,
that.
you
I hadn't done
should
that.
consider doing that because it's so inspirational. Now, out of all the poems that you've written, I'll put you on the spot. What just jumps into your mind as one of your most favorite, or one of your most poignant, or one that means a lot to you, looking back?
I knew you would ask.
Okay.
that. Freedom Train.
Okay.
It's in that book,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me about the story behind that one. Was that just
Okay.
you laying in bed one night and all of a sudden got the idea? Tell me about that idea behind that one.
Actually, I was looking at the Christian Network,
Mm-hmm.
and this singer, his name is Wesley Phipps.
Okay.
He's a gospel singer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a minister. And he was singing a song, an old spiritual song,
Okay.
and talking about freedom, about the slaves. And it just caught my attention, so
Yeah.
I wrote Freedom Train on a piece of paper.
Wow.
And then I thought about the slaves, how, especially Harriet Tubman, you know, how she's called the Black Moses, and how she led people out and didn't lose anybody.
Yeah.
And it just caught my attention and
Yeah.
just inspired me, like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, could you imagine just escaping from the plantation,
Yeah,
and having
yeah.
to go through the woods and the swamps, and that's where that poem came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what we did at church for Black History Month, I dressed up like a slave.
Wow.
And then I had some people, you know, who I was leading out, and I had
Yes.
this big stick,
Yeah.
like Moses would have.
Yeah.
And, you know, I read that poem as I was leading them out.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
I'm getting a chill just
Yeah.
thinking about it. You should do
Yeah.
that again next month
Yeah.
for Black History Month.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll do that.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, now you published this book in 2013. Are you working on another book of
Yes,
poetry?
I am.
Okay, what is it that we should expect from Yvonne Rivers, the poet?
I believe this book will be deeper,
Okay.
richer,
Mm-hmm.
prophetic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
I'm
good.
excited about it. And then I also have 2 children books that I want to publish.
Oh, well, what are they about?
Yeah.
I love
One of
children's books.
them,
I was a school teacher, so yeah.
one of them is one little fella in the book. He's a hippopotamus. You know, and it's just cute. It's called, one of them is about a little boy that moved into a new neighborhood,
Yeah.
and how it took him a while to get friends, and
Gotcha.
how his friends inspired him to change his ways, because he was a little troublemaker.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's
My
a little
goodness.
troublemaker.
My goodness.
And in the other book, this little boy, he invited his friend to come to church. And he had never been to church
Oh,
before.
wow.
And he was like, well, what is church?
Yeah.
And his little friend explained to him, you know, what they do
Yeah,
at church.
yeah.
And he said, well, my parents never took me to church.
Oh goodness.
So, you know, it's just a little scenario of him
Right.
inviting his friend, and his friend went to church, and he was so amazed about children's church and
Yeah.
what was going on in church,
Yeah.
that he got so excited he invited his parents.
Oh wow. And I'm
so
sure.
the parents came,
Yeah.
and at the end of the story it said, and a little child shall lead them.
Oh wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. We've
Yeah.
been talking to Yvonne Rivers, who is a poet. We will have all of Ms. Rivers' contact info out so that you can pick up a copy of Reflections of a Lifetime, and you can also be on the lookout for some of her other published works. Don't go anywhere. We got more Low Country Spotlight coming up.